Hi, everyone, and welcome to Voices of CFMA, Construction Financial Management Association's podcast featuring conversations with industry leaders, sponsored by Old Republic Surety. I'm your host, Sal Marino, CFMA's Director of Communications, and today I am sitting down with Nicolle Taylor-Sheafor, who was on her very first podcast. Nicolle, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Sal.
So, why don't we start by you telling everyone listening what you do?
So I am the CFO for Hardman Construction here in Michigan. We are a mid-sized company, so as a CFO, I get to wear a whole bunch of different titles, which I like. Kind of get to be involved in a little bit of every part of the business, from a little bit of benefits and, of course, the accounting procedures, and get to talk with the leadership team too about maybe some strategy and that sort of thing.
Very nice. And you are also the vice president of the Western Michigan chapter, correct?
Yeah, yep. I was I'm in my second year with the board of for Western Michigan, and it's been a blast so far.
So, how did you get started on the board of the Western Michigan chapter?
Well, to be honest with you, it'd be Jamie Montague. She's very outgoing, and she really she's a connector, right? So she knows people, she remembers things about people. I went to a meeting. She was in my first roundtable, I believe, with Western Michigan, and then I ran into her at one of our monthly meetings, and she said, "You need to join the board." And I said, "Oh, well, I just joined. I was trying to figure out how to get more in the national, and so I had just joined the specialty trades national committee." And she goes, "But you need to join the board." And I'm like, "You're probably right." And so I did, and it's been a great experience. It's really brought me closer to a lot of the folks, in the Western Michigan chapter. Really extended my network here, which has been great. But then the national has been great to get feedback from different areas of the country as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, is this always what you wanted to do?
In high school, I decided I wanted to go into accounting. Yeah, it's worked out. I wasn't sure what type of accounting at the time. I wasn't really sure exactly what those worlds even looked like. So I'm happy where I landed.
That's very cool. And how did you come about CFMA?
CFMA. So I was looking to find some peers because where we are located in Michigan is a little bit isolated. So it's kind of hard to find my group. And luckily, our president, Todd Schrader, had suggested that I touch base with the CFO of Pioneer Construction a few years ago. And I contacted him, and he said the best thing I ever did was join CFMA. And so I joined, and the West Michigan chapter has a really unique feature of roundtables. So I joined the roundtables. So what happens there is they put us in a small group of 6 or 7 people, non-competing, and we each host a luncheon or a dinner, depending upon the group. And you get to know each other, and you kind of get to educate each other on different things. And so it's kind of started small, which was nice. And then I got to build my group from there. So do a couple of years of roundtables, you get to know people and kind of get my feet wet.
That's great. And it kind of brings me into my next question, just talking about benefits. So, currently, CFMA is running our 12 plus membership promotion, where if you join now, your benefits are extended until March 31st, 2025. So you get all that extra time with all of the amazing benefits that we have to offer. When you first joined CFMA, what did you find most beneficial?
Yeah, the most beneficial aspect is every single webinar, every single piece of education that's coming out of CFMA, it pertains to what I do in some way. So that was a huge help. Construction industry is a whole different ball game, and so is the accounting for it. And
Yep.
I really wanted to know the ins and outs behind surety and the insurance. Those are big factors when it comes to, being in a role like mine. And the education was fantastic. And like I said, the connections made were fantastic. I was really surprised how open everyone was to share information. The Connection Cafe is fantastic. I was really surprised as people would, hey, I've got a spreadsheet. I'm happy to share with what I came up with. What do you guys think? And it was really awesome experience just at first to kind of go, oh, okay, these are my people.
Right. Yeah. And, you talk about finding your people, and I hear that time and time again. And especially, when we went through something like the COVID pandemic and people were trying to figure out how to fill out the PPP forms and what worked during the pandemic and how people, adjusted and got through all of it. And all the advice that they received via the Connection Cafe or reaching out to people who are going through similar circumstances. It's, I think, one of the greatest benefits of CFMA is that you do find your people and you do find those connections.
100%. And especially like you said, during early times during the pandemic when the PPP came out, nobody knew you're reading all this legislation coming out and you're trying to interpret it and quickly, you know, um, and also dealing with, just the stress of the pandemic itself. So it was hugely helpful just to read what other people were doing when it came to calculations and, okay, I'm on the right track, or no, I need to, reassess this one.
Shifting gears slightly, outside of work, what do you do to relax? What's your go-to?
I kind of dabble in a couple different hobbies. So I like to, this past spring, I dove back into looking at genealogy and kind of putting a family tree together. So I've done that. During the pandemic, I tried to learn the violin. I'll probably break that out another time
Nice.
too to see if I can maybe make a little bit more heads or tails of things. But yeah, just kind of doing, self-taught, something I always wanted to play. So just, yeah, dabbling here and there and things.
Awesome. Did you do violin before, or is it just brand
Nope,
new?
that was brand new. I did clarinet when I was growing up, when I was very, very young. And I'd always wanted to do a string instrument. So I was just curious. So I downloaded an app and tried to
Oh,
relearn
wow.
some sheet music. So I didn't get very far, but we'll try again.
Hey, listen, that's great. The simple fact that you even started, right? That's the hard part, is actually uh, doing it, starting it. You did that, so congratulations. Um, Switching subjects a little bit to advice, do you have a certain piece of advice that you've held on to through the years that really helped you or resonates with you?
I'd say the biggest piece of advice I've ever received is, I mean, it's a form of grass is always greener on the other side, right? It's just kind of keep your eyes on your own paper. Focus on yourself. Um, if you're always looking at other folks, you're always going to be, have envy, jealousy. There's always going to be somebody that has something that you don't. So, and then you don't find much happiness in that. So, I try to just remember to be grateful and keep in mind of where I'm at and what my goals and focus are, and that it might be different than what others are, and that's okay.
Sure, that's great. What about advice you give? What's your favorite?
Yeah, very similar. I would say, just to be honest with you, because it's really given me peace of mind, is,
Sure,
just always always focus on yourself, and you'll be much, much happier for it. There's, like I said, there's always going to be people out there who have more than you do, or have, but there's probably an awful lot of people that also have less, and trying to focus on that.
very cool. And are you planning on going to Texas this year for the national conference?
I am,
Excellent.
we the specialty trades are, the committee is working on getting, our conference ideas together, and there's some really great ideas that everybody's come up with. So I think it's going to be a really great conference.
Yeah, I'm excited. That's great. All right. Well, is there anything else that you want to say before we sign off?
The only thing I would have to say is, if you haven't involved yourself on the CFMA, just getting to know, just put your foot out there, get involved into a committee. I had no idea what to expect.
Right.
I had no
Yeah.
idea what committees did. that's okay. Just put yourself out there. You'd be really surprised how small and tight-knit of a community it is. It can kind of be overwhelming at first, but once you spend a year or two, everybody that you work with at CFMA, at least in my experience, has been salt of the earth. Really
Right.
good people, really helpful people. Um, just put yourself out there.
Oh, that's great advice. And CFMA has a number of committees, so you're likely to find one that plays to your strengths.
Exactly.
Well, Nicole, thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you all for listening to another episode of Voices of CFMA, sponsored by Old Republic Surety. If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe and share on social media. And if you're interested in learning more about the Construction Financial Management Association, please check out cfma.org. Once again, I'm your host, Sal Marino, and I will see everyone back here next month. Thanks.